Hello friends, in today's video lesson, we are going to look at the long division method to find square roots. So in this lesson, we are going to look at perfect squares only. There will be a separate video lesson where we look at other examples of imperfect squares. So let's start with our examples. So to figure out how the long division method works, let us look at the square root of 841. Okay, so what is the first step? So the first step in finding of square roots is always to identify pairs of digits. Okay, so we start with the unit side and identify a pair. So we have 1 and 4, and all the remaining digits will be marked as an independent pair. So you see the yellow line where we have identified the pairs. Now, before we start the long division method, reflect on the observation lesson and figure out from this number, what can we really observe and how can we really guess what the solution of this problem could be. Okay, so let us see. So we know we can observe that the units digit is 1. Okay, and we know that what are the squares whose last digit ends in 1? So 1 square is 1. So then the possible solution of the square root could be a number ending with 1. Other option is 9 square is 81, right? So this could also be a number ending with 9. I mean the square root. So now you have two options, and our observation is leading to this conclusion that our solution of the square root could be a number ending with 1 or a number ending with 9. Also, again, reflect back on the observations class. And what we also know is that the number of digits in the square root would be only 2, right? So what is the rule? The number of digits in the square root of a number is either n by 2 or n plus 1 by 2, right? So we have 3 digits here. So our n plus 1 is 4, 4 by 2 is 2. So our maximum number of digits in our solution has to be 2. And the units digit is either 1 or 9 if 841 is a perfect square. But we will go with that assumption. And then we will go ahead with the long division process. Okay, so keep these observations in mind as we go along. So now let's go ahead. So now for the long division process, basically 841 is our dividend, and we are going to identify divisors which will enable us to reach the square root. So let us divide. So how do we choose how to divide it with? So we look at a perfect square which is less than the first number or the first pair which you identified. Here it is only 8. So we are going to find out the perfect square which is less than equal to 8. So let's see what that perfect square number is. Now we know that 2 square is 4 and 3 square is 9. So the perfect square which is less than 8 is 4, and that is 2 square. So let us put 2 and 2 here like this. So we have a first digit of our divisor is 2, and then we have 2. Since this has to be a square root, we have to make it a square, right? So we have 2 into 2, and we have 4, and we are going to now, like in the regular division process, we subtract 4 from 8, and we get a remainder of 4. So now we have made the first steps in the long division. So now we need to identify what to do with the remaining digits. So let's create a new dividend. With these two digits, we'll bring them down right over here. And our new dividend is 441. Now we also need a new divisor. So what that new divisor could be? We add 2 and 2, these two digits, make it 4. And now we need to figure out a second digit over here, which will also be the digit over here, the square, which is close to 441. So now what was our guess? You remember? So now this digit could be either 1 or this digit could be 9 if 841 is a perfect square, right? That was our observation. So now reflect back. 20 square is 400. 2 2s are 4, right? And 10 into 10 is 100. So 20 square is 400. but 841 is quite far away from 400. So 21 square equals to 841 is not looking like the right choice. Let us look at 30 square. 30 square is 900. Now 841 is quite close to 900. So maybe 9 is a better choice. So let us go with 9. So it is possible that 29 square is 841. So let us see. We'll go with 9. So if I get 9 and I put 9 over here, so we see 9 into 9 is 81. Yeah, we get 1. 4 into 9 is 36, and we had 8 as carry. So 36 and 8 is 44. Oh, yes. I think we have a solution right. So we will get 441 if we multiply 49 with 9, and that will be our solution. We get the remainder as 0. So which means that if you do not get any remainder, which means that 841 is a perfect square of 29, and that 841's square root is 29. So let us put that down. So 841 is a perfect square. Square root of 841 is 29, and which also means that 29 square is 841. So I hope you understood how to execute the long division method. Let us look at a couple of more examples, which will make this method more clear. Now follow on with me, work with me on this. Find the square root of 7396. So what do? Our first step is to identify pairs. So let us put them down. So we have first pair 96. We have a second pair 73. So we have two pairs now identified. Now again, go back to our observations. The units digit of this is 6. So what could be the possible units digit of the square root? It could be either 4, because 4 square is 16, which results in the last digit 6. Or it could be 6 square. Sorry, it could be 6, which means 6 square is 36. So therefore, our units digit of the square root could either be 4 or it could be 6. Also, we know that our square root will have 2 digits. Since we have 2 pairs, so it needs to have 2 digits. So now, with this observations and analysis in mind, let us go ahead and apply the long division method. If you do these observations, you will realize that your long division, identifying the solution in the long division, becomes very fast. So let us see. So what now, to identify the first divisor, we need to find a square which is less than equal to 73. So the closest is 8. 8 square is 64 and 9 square is 81. So 64 is the closest square which is less than 73. So we'll have to go with 8. So we put 8 here, put 64, and then subtract 64 from 73, which gives us 9. So now that is the first step. So now, since we have 2 digits remaining, let's bring them down to create the new dividend. So the new dividend is 996. Now I need to create a new divisor. So I will add 8 plus 8, I will get 16. And now I need to find the last digit number here and number here, which will give us the solution. So as we had thought about it, there were 2 options, either 4 or 6. So let us see, let us work them. We will go with these 2 and check if we actually arrive at 996 with any of them. So if we put 4, we will get 164 into 4, right? Because that is what the choice we are thinking. So 164 into 4 is 4 4s are 16. And 4 6 are 24 and 125. And 4 1 the 4 and 2 6, 656. Now 656 is much less than 996. So let us try with another choice. So other choice is we put 6 here and 6 here. So let us see what that gives us. So 166 into 6 gives us 996. And that is what we are looking for, which means that 6 is the right choice for this units digit. So let us apply. We put 6 here, 6 over here, we get 996. We subtract them, we get a remainder of 0, which means that our solution is 86, and square root of 7396 is 86. And again, 7396 is a perfect square. So we have arrived at a solution. So excellent job if you have been following with me. Let's look at other example which involves a decimal number. So let's say we need to find the square root of 2.89. Now, one simple thing that you need to follow is when you are applying the long division method to find a number which has decimals, just get rid of that decimal and just apply the long division method by getting rid of this decimal. Okay, and then we'll see how it works. So let us look at 289 and follow the same method that we have been following so far, which is find the pairs. So let us do that. So we have 8 and 9, and then the remaining digit is the next pair, which is 2. So we are going to have 2 digits in our solution. And now observe the units digit. It is 9. We know that 3 square is 9. So the units digit of the square root could be 3, or it could also be 7. Why? Because 7 square is 49, which also ends in 9. So our solution could be ending either with 3 or with 7. So if you are not sure how we are arriving at our observations of the units digit of the square root, I suggest that you go and take a look at our previous lessons and videos where we have listed how to arrive at the observations on squares and square roots. So now we'll apply long division to 289 as we have done so far. So we need to figure out the perfect square, which is less than 2. So in that case, it's only going to be 1 because 1 square is 1, which is less than 2. So let us do that. So we get 1 and we subtract 1 from 2 and we get 1. Now we need to create a new dividend of the remaining digits, 89. So let's get them down here. And now we need to find a new divisor. So that will be 1 plus 1, 2. And then we need to add one more digit here, which when multiplied with the same digit over here, either gives us 189 or a number lesser than 189. Since there are no more digits here remaining, that will give us the solution. Always remember, if there are more digits remaining after we have concluded this process, which means that you have to repeat this process till all the digits are exhausted. So in this case, as we observed, we have two options, either 3 or 7. So let us multiply and see. If we do 23 into 3, we are going to get 69, and 69 is far lesser. So my guess is actually 7 is going to be the better choice, but let us confirm. So 23 into 3 is 69. And other option is we put 7 over here, which gives us 27 into 7, which I think will give us exactly the same number, 189. So 7 is our solution. Let's put that down. We have 27 into 7. We'll get 189. Subtract it. The remainder is 0, which means that 17 is our solution. But we need to adjust for the decimal yet. Now, if you remember the concept of decimals, if you have two decimals here, which means that the square root will have only one decimal. Why? Because we are going to have 1.7 multiplied by 1.7, right? Which means that if the number being multiplied has one decimal each, then the result will have two decimals. So we just adjust this decimal in this form. So square root of 2.89 has to be 1.7. Why? Because when 1.7 will be multiplied by 1.7, you will have two decimal places in the solution, and therefore we just put out in the reverse logic, we actually convert it into a one decimal place in the square root. So square root of 2.89 is 1.7. I hope you have understood and enjoyed this lesson and followed this process. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to me on this email. I am Chinmay Kale, the founder of the Math School. Feel free to leave your comments in the video, or if you have any challenges, feel free to email me.